If you're over 65 and collecting Social Security, I need you to hear this before you do anything else today. There's a real chance your monthly check is wrong right now, not by a few pennies, by real money, money that's yours. And it isn't because you did anything wrong. Somewhere in your work history, a year of your earnings is either missing or recorded wrong, and that one error is quietly shaving dollars off every check you'll get for the rest of your life. The agency has your record. They know this happens to millions of people, and nobody who works there is ever going to pick up the phone and call to make it right. There's one free form that fixes it. I'll give you the name and the exact number to call. But there's a deadline buried inside all of this that traps most people. So stay with me, because at the very end I'll show you the one exception that lets you reach back and reclaim years even after that deadline is supposed to be closed for good. Let me explain why this matters so much, in plain English. Your Social Security check isn't a random number somebody picked. It's built from your earnings, and specifically from your 35 highest earning years of work. The agency takes those 35 years, averages them out, and that average sets your monthly benefit for the rest of your life. So think about what that really means. If even one of those 35 years is blank when it shouldn't be, or shows less than you actually made, your average drops. And when the average drops, your check drops, every month, for as long as you live. Here's the part that should make you sit up straight. This isn't rare. Employers report wages wrong all the time. A company switches payroll systems, and a whole year falls through the cracks. You got married or divorced, changed your name, and the earnings landed under the old one. A single digit in your Social Security number got typed wrong on a W-2 back in 1990-something, and every dollar from that job went into a stranger's file instead of yours. You were self-employed for a few years, and the paperwork never lined up. Any one of those, and there's a hole in your record. A quiet, invisible hole, and it's been costing you money the entire time. And I want to be fair about who this hits because two assumptions float around and both are wrong. This isn't only a problem for people who worked low-wage jobs, and it isn't only a problem for high earners with complicated tax returns. A retired nurse, a truck driver, a small business owner, a teacher who taught across 2 states. I've seen this same missing year problem land on every one of them. If you ever earned a paycheck in this country, this is yours to check. No exceptions. Quick word about me. I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not an accountant. I can't pull up your personal record from where I'm sitting. What I can do is hand you the exact tool and the exact words to use, so you can walk in and fix this yourself, without paying a single person a dime to do it for you. And before I go further, do me one favor. Think back right now. Have you ever actually looked at your own earnings record? Not your benefit amount, your year-by-year earnings. Most people never have. Hold that thought. So how much money are we really talking about here? Let me make it concrete because vague numbers help nobody. The people who study this have run the math. One single year missing from your record works out to roughly $8,000 in lost benefits over a typical retirement. Let that land. 1 year, $8,000. If 2 years are missing or wrong, you're looking at more than $15,000. 3 years and it climbs past $23,000. 4 years gone and it's more than $30,000 of your own money. Money you earned, money that got pulled out of every paycheck you ever cashed, just gone. Because of a clerical slip nobody bothered to tell you about. Now put yourself in that picture. If your benefit sits around $1,500 a month and 1 year is missing, fixing it puts real dollars back into every single check. If your benefit is closer to $2,500 a month, the swing is even bigger because your years were worth more to begin with. The rule of thumb is simple. The higher your benefit, the more a missing year is costing you right now, and the more it's worth going back to catch. And let me put a real question to you right here because I'm curious how common this is among the people watching. Have you ever pulled up your own earnings record and checked it against your memory? Just answer yes or no in the comments. I'll tell you now. Most people who do it for the first time find at least 1 year that looks off. Sometimes it's small, sometimes it's a whole year staring back at them as a zero. Either way, you can't fix what you never look at, so the looking is the part that actually pays. One more thing on the money so you can find your exact number. Think of it this way. Every corrected year gets folded back into that 35-year average, and the average is what your check is a slice of. So a missing year near the top of your earning years, say your 50s when you were making the most, hurts far more than a lean year from your early 20s. If your best years are the ones with the holes, this could be the single most valuable hour you spend all year. Here's how you check it, step by step, and it costs you nothing. First, you look at your earnings record. Go to the Social Security website, that's SSA.gov, and open what they call a My Social Security account. It's free to set up. Once you're in, don't stop at the big benefit number they flash at the top. Scroll down to the earnings record. It lists your income year by year, all the way back to your very first job. Now sit down with a cup of coffee and actually read it, slowly. Compare each year against what you remember earning. If you kept old W-2 forms or old tax returns, pull them out and lay them next to it. You're hunting for two things: a year that says 0 when you know full well you were working, and a year that shows far less than you actually made. Found one? Good. That's not bad news. That's money you just found sitting on the floor. Now let's go pick it up. This is where the form comes in, and I want you to remember its name. It's Form SSA 7008. Say it to yourself once. Form SSA 7008. Its official title is the Request for Correction of Earnings Record, and it exists for this exact reason. So regular people can fix mistakes in their own history. You can download it straight from that same SSA.gov website. You can pick up a paper copy at any local Social Security office, or you can call the national line. That's 1-800-772-1213, and ask them to mail one to you. When you call, ask for it by its number. It moves faster when they hear you already know exactly what you want. On that form, you list each year that's wrong. You write down what the record shows and what it should actually say. And then, this is the step people skip and live to regret. You attach your proof, your W-2 for that year, a pay stub that shows your gross earnings, a copy of the tax return you filed, copies only, never your originals. If you're mailing it, send it certified mail with a return receipt, so you've got a dated record that they received it. And do not forget to sign it. An unsigned form is a dead form. They send it right back, and the clock keeps running the whole time you wait. Who does this help the most? Anyone who ever changed their name. Anyone who worked for a company that's long gone out of business. Anyone who was paid part in cash and part on the books. And most of all, anyone who was self-employed, even for just a few years, because that's where the records get the messiest, and that's where the missing money gets the biggest. Now, I told you up top there was a deadline hiding in all of this. Here it is. And you need to understand it before it costs you anything more. The general rule is this. You have 3 years, 3 months, and 15 days after the end of a given tax year to ask them to correct that year's wages. After that window shuts, the law calls that entry conclusive. That's a fancy word that just means they treat it as final. And after that, it becomes very, very hard to change. So for your more recent working years, the clock is real, and it is running right now. If you spot a mistake, you do not sit on it. You do not wait for a better time or a rainy day. Every month you let slide, you're bleeding money you may never get back. And I know exactly what a lot of you are thinking right now. Well, my missing year is from 1980-something. I'm decades too late. Why even bother? Stay right there with me. This is the exception I promised you at the start, and honestly, it's the whole reason I made this video. That 3-year deadline has holes in it, holes written into the law on purpose. The deadline does not apply if the error was caused by fraud. It does not apply if the mistake was a clerical or mechanical error made by the agency itself. It does not apply if your wages were reported under the wrong worker or entered in the wrong time period. It does not apply if your employer filed their report late. And here's the big one for ordinary folks. It does not apply if you filed a tax return before the deadline that proves those wages. In plain English, if you can show with your own old tax return that you reported that income back when it happened, they can go back and fix a year that's decades old. Read that again, because nobody tells seniors this. The "it's too late" wall that stops almost everyone, for a huge number of you, it was never really a wall at all. If you've got the paper, an old W-2, an old return tucked in a file box in the closet, you may be able to reach back 20, 30, even 40 years and reclaim earnings the system quietly dropped from your record. Let me bring this down to one real person so you can see how it actually moves. Picture a woman who worked as a bookkeeper. She took about 8 years off to raise her kids, then went back to work. When she finally checked her record at 66, 2 of her working years were simply blank. The small firm she'd worked for had closed its doors, and its final payroll reports never made it into her file. 2 missing years. On paper, both were long past that 3-year deadline, but she'd kept her tax returns, a shoebox in the garage going back decades. She filed the SSA 7008, attached those returns, and pointed straight to the exception. Both years went back onto her record. Her check went up, and it stays up for the rest of her life. She didn't game anything, and she didn't cheat anyone. She simply claimed what she'd already earned and already paid for. Here's something else worth knowing while you're at it. When they correct your record and your benefit goes up, that increase isn't only going forward. If you were underpaid for months or longer, you may be owed back pay for the difference. I can't promise you a number. That depends on your record and your case. But do not assume the fix only counts from today. Ask them plainly, now that this is corrected, am I owed anything for the time I was underpaid? Make them answer it. So what does this mean for you, practically today? 3 moves. Open your My Social Security account and read your earnings record line by line. If you find a gap or a year that looks too low, get Form SSA 7008. Download it, grab it at the office, or call 1-800-772-1213. Then fill it out, attach your proof, sign it, and send it certified. That's the whole game. No lawyer, no fee. Just your record made right. Let me tie the whole thing together. Your benefit is built on 35 years of earnings. A single wrong year can cost you around $8,000 over your retirement, and 3 or 4 wrong years can run past $30,000. The fix is one free form, SSA 7008. There's a deadline of 3 years, 3 months, and 15 days that catches most people flat-footed. But there are written exceptions to that deadline. And if you've held on to the old paperwork, you may be able to reclaim years the system swore were closed forever. The people who get this money back aren't luckier than you. They aren't smarter than you. They're just the ones who opened the file and looked, while everyone else went right on assuming their check was correct. Do one thing for me. Send this to one person over 65 who's on Social Security. It takes 10 seconds, and it could put thousands of dollars back in their pocket. If this helped you, tap that like button so more seniors get shown this and subscribe. I dig up the things these agencies would rather you never find out, one video at a time. And tell me down in the comments, when you checked your earnings record, was it right or did you find a year that was wrong? I read them, and your answer helps the next person know to go look. Go check your record today. Don't let one more month go by paying for a mistake that was never yours to begin with.